All right, just getting set up. So just whilst you're getting ready, we've got yoga for runners. I haven't got my phone. Yoga for runners. But really, it's not just for runners at all. It just means that we are focusing on all those parts that tend to be tight when we have been running or walking or doing any sort of physical activity or even sitting a lot. So we will work into hip flexors, hamstrings, glutes, all this sort of area. So I said to bring a strap or any sort of substitute for a strap. We'll use that when we're lying, and also possibly if you need help catching a foot, but bring a pillow as well. So we're just going to support our folds towards the end and maybe pad a knee. So have a pillow to hand. All right, we're starting in a seat. We'll arrive and then we will move straight into just a wide-legged seat for a while. So if you know, it's not a bad thing to do at all, if you know that you're often quite tight in the hamstrings to begin with, fold your pillow over and just give yourself a little bit of a lift so that when you send the legs out, you're not, you've got that help to tilt the pelvis forward. So find a comfortable seat and pop your playlist or any music on. And once you're there and you're ready, you can just settle in, find a comfortable seat. And hands might rest in the lap, or you can rest them on the knees, maybe take palms facing up. Leaves you feeling a little bit more open and receiving, or hands can be down for more grounding energy. Take what you need. And give yourself a moment or two to make any movements, any adjustments. And begin to settle. And we always give ourselves this time at the start of our practice just to settle, to prepare, but just to transition from whatever's been going on through the day, through the evening. So allow yourself to just be here. Observe to begin with the physical body and the quality of the breath. As the mind maybe begins to find a little bit more stillness, start to deepen and lengthen the breath. In particular, focus on that exhalation, sending the breath away, creating space for your next inhalation. All right, from there we are just going to extend the legs out like we're taking a wide seat. We're not folding forward. We're just finding that sense of lengthening through the legs. So only take them as wide as you feel comfortable. Sitting on something will just help tilt your pelvis forward. Place the hands on the upper thighs, or the thighs, the upper legs, with your thumbs pointing backwards. And just use the hands to externally rotate the legs, like you're sending the thighs back. the way. Just sort of externally open through the legs, flex through the feet. Find some length in the spine. Sit as tall as you can. Feel the heart just drawing through, a little bit of energy drawing in through the core. Just settle here for a few breaths. Notice how the body's feeling. And then from there, use the hands to draw the legs back in. Bring soles of the feet together. We're just going to fold forward into our first sort of hip opener with cobbler pose. So draw the feet as close as you feel comfortable. Lift the heart, take a big breath in. And then tip yourself forward, flop to wherever you want to be. Full weight of the body and the head hanging forward. Breath being sent down into the hips and the belly. A few nice easy breaths here. All right, and from there, pick yourself up. We're going to lie down on our mat. So you'll need to remove the pillow just to get there, but we are placing it straight back underneath our hips for a kind of supported bridge, but nothing too high. So lie yourself down. When you get there, first of all, just hug the knees into the chest, give them a squeeze, and take a little rock side to side, or circle the knees, keeping them together. Anything that just eases out tension through the low back. All right, and then pop the feet back down on the mat. Use that folded pillow, unless you've got a particularly full pillow, in which case you won't need to fold it, to place underneath the hips. So you're lifting as if into a bridge pose, dropping the hips down. It's not going to give you a huge amount of lift, but if you straighten the legs out in front, take the arms overhead, lengthen into that full body stretch. Feel a little bit like you're arching through the back. You're just going to open very gently through the hip flexors. Take a nice big stretch, fingertips to toes. And then bend the knees back in. So taking that knee to chest pose, draw your right knee in. Start to lengthen the left leg out. Now what will probably happen is that your left knee softens, your heel will hit the floor. So that's fine. Keep drawing the right knee in. And then really straighten through your left leg. So power up that left leg, flex the foot. And when you do that, you'll probably find that the heel is lifted off the floor. So try and soften into it through the hips without softening the left knee. And see if with a few breaths, that left leg eventually touches down. It might not, it might just get close to the floor, but you're releasing through this left hip flexor. My heels just touched the floor, still keeping the leg nice and straight. Really squeeze the right knee in, couple more breaths. And then release your right knee. Same on the other side, draw that left knee into the chest, give it a squeeze, send the right leg out. Don't worry about it too much to begin with, just draw the left knee close. And then begin to straighten out the right leg, flex the foot, like you're sending energy down and shooting out the top of your mat. Find softness through the hips without softening the right knee. That right heel will either be sinking slowly, you might not notice it unless it touches down with the floor. Take a couple more breaths. Lovely, and then release the left knee. Place feet together, pick up your hips, remove your pillow. Should have said to have your strap to hand, so grab your strap, hopefully it's not too far away. And when you've got it, loop the right leg into the strap. Nice easy hamstring stretch. If you want to loop the hands all the way up the strap, you can really sort of let go and let the weight of the arms do their thing without slipping, but you can also just hold. So flex the right foot, send the heel as far away from the sit bone as you can, press the hips into the mat. We have a sort of lengthening through the right leg, but also the energy that we're actively keeping there. If you feel able, straighten out the left leg. And then stay with your breath. Find length and extension through the leg as you breathe in. And a softness through the right hip crease as you breathe out. See if that foot can travel any closer towards the face. Get the quivery leg or the quads fighting with the hamstrings. Just try and breathe a sense of release and softness into them. Try and stop the body reacting against it. Lovely. And then we'll just take a little outer leg stretch. So use your right hand to keep your right hip absolutely glued to the floor and only move the leg across the body. So your foot's traveling to the left. And it'll be a few inches, and then you should get a big stretch that travels all up the outer part of the leg. Give yourself a couple of breaths there. And then bring the leg back up to center. Bend your left leg. Cross your right ankle over the left knee. You can release the strap for a moment. Pick up your left foot and start to work into that right hip. Now, if it feels really tight for you, maybe just lift the left foot up and down. You can always support with the hands, or you can thread the arms through, hug either thigh or the shin to really draw the right knee in towards the body. Keep flexing through the right foot, sending the right knee away. Movement or stillness, you've got a few breaths. At the end of your next breath, release the leg, or wherever you're holding, drop the feet, swapping it over, loop the left foot into the strap. So wind your strap up if you want to take that option. Press the left heel away, press the hips down into the mats. That mix of strength but also softness to find. Release through the back of the leg. Lengthen the right leg away as much as you want. And connect with your breath. Extend on the inhale. Soften through the hip as you exhale. Two more breaths to find any more length through the back of that leg. And then strap into the right hand. Left thumb can hook around the left hip, keep it rooting down, and then drop the left leg across the body without lifting the hip at all. Still sending that left heel as far away as you can, creating length. Lovely, bring it back to center. You can lose the strap now completely to the side. Cross your left ankle over the right knee. And pick up the right foot. So again, either just move into that left hip, that's where your focus is. If it feels quite nice and open, draw the right knee in closer. And really send your breath down into that left hip. A few more breaths, soften through the jaw and the shoulders if they're gripping. All right, release your legs. You're hugging the knees in. Take a rock and a roll up towards seated. Come straight over onto all fours. Only a few cat and cows just to ease into the spine. So just be mindful if you're dealing with low back twinges, not to overarch. Nice big inhale as you draw the heart through, soften the belly. Exhale to round the spine. Stay with your breath for a few rounds. All right, and then come back through neutral spine. We're going to sit back onto the toes. We're going to stretch through the toes and then through the ankles, not for too long, but we'll just do a little bit for the feet. So tuck those toes underneath. Sit your weight back on the heels. And just find a nice comfortable position. If you prefer to have something to do with the arms, you're welcome to take an eagle arms or a tricep stretch, anything to distract. Otherwise, you're quite welcome just to sit and to breathe. I'll tell you when to swap the arms if you've taken a variation. All right, if you've taken arms, you can swap them over. So know that you're past the halfway point if you're starting to feel it through the feet. Focus on your breath. Stretching out all that good fascia on the soles of the feet that we ignore. Makes you pay for it when you have to stretch it. Release the arms where you have them. Bring hands to the floor. Release the feet. Tap them out. And then we're going the other way to stretch through the tops of the feet. So still kneeling back, but with toes untucked. Take the hands behind you and then start to pick your knees up. So you'll feel that where you're stretching through sort of the front of the ankle, the front of the feet, tops of the feet. I think I actually find this one worse. Few breaths here. Keep squeezing the knees up. All right, and then slowly rock yourself back. Lovely. Come back onto hands and knees. Just taking a little crossbody with the right leg, so extend it out to the side. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, cross it behind you and look over your left shoulder to see the right toes. Yeah, so bringing it back. Inhale to the side. Exhale to cross behind. A few more. Take one more on this leg. Bring yourself back to center, just the same with the left leg. Take it out to the side. Take a breath in. Cross it behind, look over your right shoulder as you breathe out. And then keep it moving. Inhale to open. Exhale to cross. That's it. So you're getting a little side bend, a little squeeze, right hip to right shoulder, opening through the left-hand side. And take one more. And then come back to center. From there, tuck the toes and lift the hips into your downward dog. Chance to really lengthen out a little bit through the hamstrings, pedal the legs. All right, we'll make a start on our hip flexors, which are often so tight. So bring the knees down to the mat. All right, if you want to use your pillow again for this, or on the knees for a little bit, you can pop your left knee on the pillow, bring your right foot forward. So to begin with, you're just going to walk that right foot forward, stay with fingertips on the floor or lean on your right leg. Just don't sit up too much. We're not stressing the lower back, we're working on the left hip flexor. So keep inching the right foot forward and sinking into the hips. It's the dropping of the hips that's going to find or start to find any tightness through the hip flexor. So yeah, you can be leaning upwards if you want. You can use blocks if you have them to hand, or just fingertips to the floor. And sensation in the hips builds as we've been here a little while, so you might not feel it straight away. But from here, this is your choice. If you want to come up a little bit higher, you can. If you're dealing with low back, stay with one of these options. If you feel that you can keep a little bit of length through the tailbone, feel free to take the hands overhead, maybe point index fingers and start to drop the upper part of the body back. And that will lengthen through the front fascial line and start to really open into the left hip flexor. So you can expand there, but if you'd rather stay down, please do. A couple of breaths wherever you are. If the hands are up, bring them down. From there, straighten through the right leg. So you can move slowly, you're easing back on that left hip, but then picking up the right toes. And if you can, maybe slide the right hip back a little bit, draw the right heel in, really lift through the chest. You can drop yourself forward if you want to, or just stay lifted on fingertips, wherever feels enough for that right hamstring. The more you try and stick your bum out and lift your heart or fold forward, you're going to feel more. So take it back forward, top of the mat. Bring hands inside the right foot this time. Be glad you padded your knee now. And take the foot a little bit wider, but sink right down into that lizard pose. It's more about the hips. So there's nothing wrong with staying high on the hands if you can sink the hips forward. You can drop lower. That's a little bit more into the front hip than the back because you're releasing your hip flexor. So do what feels most serving, what your hips need. So take a last breath or so. And then we're going to move out of it nice and slowly. Ease yourself back. Spin that leg round. Swap the back knee over on the pillow. Bring your left foot forward. And again, keep the body tilted forward. Keep walking the left toes towards the top of the mat and sink into your hips. So resting on the thighs, fine. Fingertips on the floor's fine, but try and keep a neutral low back. Drop into that right hip flexor. Just feel everything lengthening out. That's always so tight. Feel free to stay where you are. If your low back feels safe enough, bring the hands up, tilt the upper body back a bit, still dropping into the hips. And bring the hands down. Move nice and slowly as you slide the hips back. Pick up your left toes. Straighten out that left leg. Maybe drag the left heel a little bit closer in. So you're pulling the left hip back. Lift with a flat back to begin with. Your choice to stay there or to fold yourself forward. That's it. Come back forward. Bend into it. Bring hands inside the left foot. Maybe inch it a little bit wider. And start dropping back into the hips for that lizard pose. So option to sink down onto forearms or onto a block if you want to. Be aware of where you have that sense of compression or maybe a sense of tightness. Soften through it. Take one final full breath in here. Big releasing exhale. Lift up onto hands if you are lower. Heel toe nice and slowly back to center. Pick up your back knee. Careful not to trip over your own pillow as you step to the top of the mat. Take a forward fold. So a little softness through the knees. Then feel like you're tilting the sit bones up. Find that stretch through the back of the legs. And then bend more into the knees and really slowly start to pick yourself up. All right, so we're taking a couple of stretches. Feel free if you want to, or you have anything to hand, to use a wall if you want to. They're not poses that you necessarily need to, but if you just want to concentrate on your stretches, feel free to use a wall. So we're taking a quad stretch first with the right leg coming behind us. If you can't reach and you want to use your strap, feel free to loop it. So you're pressing knees together, squeezing the hips forward. You build a sensation of the stretch. Keep squeezing that right foot as close as you can to the bum. This is the thing. If you hold something, you can really focus on the legs rather than your balance. Breathe and create that length from the right hip down to the right knee, anywhere that's tight. And then we change the focus from our quads into our right hip. So take the right foot across the right knee, like we did when we were lying down, and sit yourself back into standing pigeon, sending that right knee down, sending the bum back. So again, if you want to do this one with a wall, you can focus on the bend and the standing. Keep the foot flexed, keep pushing the knee down, keep sending the bum back as if you're in chair pose. Couple of breaths. Lovely. Lift yourself back up. Give that right leg and left leg, supporting leg, a shake. And then we take it on the other side. Use your wall, swivel round if you need to. You know the two moves. You're taking left foot into hand, knees together, squeeze the hips forward. Standing nice and tall, drawing that left foot as close as you can to the bum. The sensation lessens, squeeze the bum, send the hips forward, create your own stretch. Good, and then you're swapping it round to standing pigeon. So release the left foot, cross it over with a nice flexed left foot. Send the hips back, sit back into it. You can also do this one, by the way, in a seat. If you do run and you're tight in the hips, it's figure of 4, but actually on your chair. So you can cross the leg up and just lean forward. You'll still feel it just the same. Lovely. Lift yourself back up. All right, from there, just watch where your pillow is. Move it to the side. We're taking a wide fold. Doesn't matter which way you turn on your mat, we'll end up back to the top. So take the feet really nice and wide, toes angled forward, outer edges of the feet level with the short edges of the mats. That's it. Hands on the hips, nice big breath in. Send your hips back as you hinge forward. Nice long spine. Start to feel it through the hamstrings. Drop yourself forward. Weight into the balls of the feet. Keep lifting through the arches of the feet, pressing into the outer edges. Spiraling the thighs the other way to what we did at the beginning. So like you're turning your inner thighs back behind you. From there, come up onto your fingertips, lift halfway, walk back nice and slowly round to the top of your mat. You're stepping back into your downward dog. All right, and then of course we couldn't do for hips and for runners without doing our pigeon pose. So from there, bring your right knee forward towards the right wrist. Drop yourself down into pigeon pose. Make it comfy though, bring your pillow round in front. So that when you lie yourself forward, I want you to take your weight a little bit more away from your leg. Yeah, you have a tendency to rock out onto your outer hip. So take your pillow to the left-hand side so that when you lie down, you're just naturally sort of bringing the left hip a little bit lower, which will build sensation in this right hip. If it's not comfortable to lie all the way down, don't. If you'd rather stay up on forearms, you can. But if you can release the whole body, then do. Take a minute or two here. So really breathe into that right hip. Allow sensation to develop as we stay. Final minute here. See if you can sink any more with the belly or the chest. Can you give any more weight into the earth from any part of you? Okay, move out of this really nice and slowly. Come back onto your hands. You can move the pillow to the other side whilst you just transition, give the hips some time. Curl up your back toes, inch forward. You can go back to kneeling, or you can take a downward dog if you want to stretch out that right leg. And then bring the left knee forward to the left wrist. Drop yourself down, inch the right knee back. And just the same on this side, just ever so slightly, the body is going to be over to the right, just so that you're not rolling off onto that left hip. If you can, release all the way down, support the body or the head with the pillow. If that's too far and you start gripping, then come back up onto forearms, but find a position where you can release fully. Coming into your second minute, make any movements if you need to let go of any remaining tension through any part of the body. Sometimes it's the shoulders that you need to release more when you're in pigeon. Final few breaths here, make the most of them. Send them deep into the hips. All right, and then start to bring yourself up nice and slowly onto the hands. This time we're just rolling around to bring the legs out in front. So drop over onto the left hip, move nice and slowly, bring yourself round. Send the legs out in front, keep a little softness. A choice of how you want to use your pillow here. If you're tight in the hamstrings, get up on your pillow and then just fold forward with body weight. If you're quite comfortable sitting with a straight spine, use the pillow in front just to support your fold, either under the belly, maybe further along the legs, and just drop forward into it. The pillow may not be of any use to you, it depends where your forward fold is. You can just rely on gravity if that's better for you. Find a degree of support as well as just ease. Let go of any effort to hold the head up, drop it forward. Final few breaths. And then nice and slowly lift the body back up. Set the pillow back behind you. You'll be lying on that shortly, but just before we land there, tuck the left foot underneath, right foot over the top. Position the feet in any way that feels okay on your knees. But if you can open the underneath foot out a little bit, you're going to just get a bit more opening through the hip. Either hug your right knee in or use your elbow to knee. And the options there again, like we did the other day, press hand to heart. If you have elbow to knee, you can just bring the hand to the heart space and turn your gaze towards the right shoulder. If you're hugging, just the same, but hug the leg and twist it around. One full final breath in here. And a big exhale to empty. And when you finish that breath, unravel nice and slowly. Spin the legs round, taking the other side, right foot underneath, left foot over the top. Open the right foot out just as much as you can. Sit nice and tall, either hug your left knee as you turn in towards it, or use your elbow and bring left hand to the heart, gazing as far round to that left shoulder as you feel comfortable. Take your final breath here. Unravel nice and slowly. Legs come out in front. Take an inhale, lift the heart, and then roll yourself down towards your mat, towards your pillow. Allow that pillow to just be a nice support to finish your practice with. Bend the feet, the knees rather, bend the knees to bring the feet towards the hips. Take the feet a little bit wider and then gently sway knees side to side. So if any tension is built up through the spine, through the low back, just keep this movement going as many times as you need just to release. And then when you feel ready, you can take your Shavasana. If you want a final hip opener for Shavasana, take the soles of the feet together and land into butterfly legs. Or keep the knees bent, knees together for a more supported, restorative rest. These are the last few minutes of your practice. Your time to settle, to connect with your breath. You're very welcome to stay longer in your Shavasana if you would like to. Otherwise, you can start bringing your awareness back to your physical body, to your surroundings. Take some deeper breaths. And return movement to fingers and toes. Movement can begin to spread into hands and feet, arms and legs, and a stretch. And when you're ready, make your way back to a seated position, returning to where you started. Hopefully with a sense of more openness through the hips, more ease through the lower parts of the body. So sit nice and tall, root down through the sit bones, lift up through the crown. And take a few final deep breaths into that space. Then on your next inhale, we sweep the arms wide and high, bringing palms together. And then drawing thumbs down to the forehead for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind actions. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.